Welcome to A Changed Life. This is a podcast about choosing differently, how you think, how you relate, and how you lead yourself. Here we focus on the inner shifts that create real momentum and open up what's possible next. Have you ever noticed how much comfort there is in knowing that there's someone who has your back? When you know someone will show up when they say they will, and they do what they say they're going to do, they follow through, and they mean what they say, you can count on that. There is such a peace in having that kind of a person in your life. It makes you feel safer. But today, I want to ask you a different question. Are you someone that you can count on? Not for other people, but for yourself, because one of the most powerful forms of confidence in the world is self-trust. And self-trust isn't built the way most people think. It's not built through motivation. It's built through keeping your word to yourself. There is a quiet danger and damage to breaking your word. Most people think the big things shape their lives, like big decisions and big goals, big achievements. But the truth is, your life is shaped by something much smaller and quieter. It's shaped by the micro agreements you make with yourself every day. Things like, I'll start tomorrow. I'll go to the gym. I'm going to make that call. I'm going to stop doing that thing, whatever it is. And every time you break that agreement, something subtle happens in your nervous system. Your brain records it. And neuroscience tells us the brain is constantly tracking patterns of behavior. It's looking for evidence about who you are. And when you repeatedly break your own word, your brain begins to build an identity around that. Not consciously, but neurologically. Your brain starts to assume, my words don't mean much. And over time, that becomes the internal experience of self-doubt, which, as we know, is the opposite of self-trust. So let's look at the neuroscience of self-trust. Research in behavioral neuroscience shows that the brain strengthens whenever patterns repeat. This is called Hebbian learning. The phrase often used is neurons that fire together, wire together. When you say you're going to do something and then you do it, you're wiring a pattern of reliability. When you say you're going to do something and then you don't, you're wiring a pattern of unreliability. Not morality, it has nothing to do with morals. It's neurological. Your brain doesn't judge. It simply records, and that pattern becomes what your nervous system expects from you. So let's look at a simple example and make this really real. Imagine someone says, I'm going to wake up at 6:30 and I'm going to go for a walk. Sounds really simple, right? The morning comes, the alarm goes off, and they hit snooze. One time. Not a big deal. But if this happens time and time and time again, the body starts learning something very specific. It learns my commitments don't matter. And over time, that shows up in much bigger ways. It will show up in your relationships. It'll show up in your business or at work. It'll show up in your health because your nervous system is trained by repetition. So now let's flip this because there's power to the opposite end. Imagine someone describes something small, not dramatic, just one thing. I walk 10 minutes every morning. That's it. Not an hour, not a huge lifestyle overhaul, just 10 minutes. And then they do it every day, day after day. Something very powerful starts happening. Their nervous system begins to experience something new. Self-reliability. And that feeling changes everything. You see, confidence is not loud. It's quiet. It's the calm internal knowing that says, I do what I say I will do. Many, many teachers have spoken about this principle in different ways. Tony Robbins often says the fastest way to build confidence is to keep promises to yourself. And Neville Goddard spoke about identity as well. He taught that the life you experience is always a reflection of who you believe yourself to be. And who you believe yourself to be is built through repeated experience. Every time you follow through, you're reinforcing a new identity, the identity of someone who can be trusted. There is a hidden cost of self-betrayal, and it's something that I really believe does not get discussed enough. Breaking your word to yourself isn't just a productivity issue, like you didn't get that thing done. It's a self-relationship issue, because every time you abandon your own commitment, it is a tiny fraction that forms in the relationship that you have with yourself. And if that pattern continues long enough, you stop expecting yourself to show up. That's when people start saying things like, I don't have any discipline, or I don't have any willpower. But the real issue usually isn't discipline. The real issue is broken trust. So, here's something simple to practice this week, a real rewired tool. Pick one small promise, not 10, just one. Something that takes 5 or 10 minutes or even less. Then keep that promise for 7 days. No negotiation, no excuses, just consistency. What you're doing isn't building discipline. You're rebuilding self-trust. And often I'll have a client take 3 breaths before they get out of bed and repeat that for 7 days. Something so small that you know that you'll be able to do, that nothing is going to get in the way of taking 3 intentional breaths and then getting out of bed, and you start to experience what it feels like, and your nervous system and your brain gets to experience what it feels like when you keep your word. Because at the end of the day, one of the most stabilizing experiences a human being can have is knowing that they can rely on themselves. And that's not something you're born with. It's something that you build. This is a capacity that you build one promise at a time. And the beautiful thing is, once that trust begins to grow, your entire life begins to change. Because when you can count on yourself, you become someone who can create a changed life. I'll see you soon in the next episode. If something in today's episode resonated with you, you'll find a link in the show notes to book a free consultation call. Or you can visit ilyse.com to explore my programs and free resources. Nothing changes until you do. And when you do, everything does. This is a changed life. Not all at once, but for good.